Apyayuntu mamangani Bhakpranasya kshushrautramato balamindriyani cha sarvani Sarvam brahmopanishadam Maham brahma nirakuryam Mama brahma nirakarut Anirakarnamastu Anirakarnam me astu Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu Brahmaste mai santu Te mai santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace mantra from the Samaveda. May quietness descend upon my limbs, my speech, my breath, my eyes, my ears. May all my senses was clear and strong. May Brahman show himself unto me. May I never deny Brahman or Brahman me. I with him and he with me. May we abide always together. May there be revealed to me who am devoted to Brahman, the holy truth of the Upanishads. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. This morning our subject is, tell us the Upanishads. Upanishadam Bruhi, part 5. The word Upanishad is very dignified and divine, uplifting and inspiring. The moment we listen to the word Upanishad, we bend our heads with Shraddha, with reverence and appreciation. Upa samipam nishadayati gamayati iti Upanishad. The scripture who shows the path to God, Atman, Brahman, and help us to realize that Brahman. That scripture is the Upanishad. There are no authors of the Upanishads. Different rishis, sages, at different times experienced that ultimate reality and expressed in a mystical way to his disciples. You have to understand, 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, there was no book. So it came, they call it agama, guru mukhat agacchati iti agama. The words which come from the guru to the disciple, then disciple to the next disciple. In this way, generation after generation, this highest truth was carried by the sages of the Upanishads. Amazing, this spiritual tradition of Vedanta. As I always say, the truth is never becomes old. Truth remains fresh. 2,000 years ago, Jesus said, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." That sentence is fresh. It is true. That sentence will never be old. Similarly, Atmanam Vidhi, know thyself. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Thou art that, Tattvamosi. These words will never, never, never be old. They are eternal truth. As I said, the Upanishad, the sages experimented and verified this truth. And they said, it works. If it works for me, it will work for you. That is the way we find is Yoga Sutra, Patanjali, the Upanishadic teachings, the teachings of the Gita, have been experimented, have been verified. They work. I remember one of our American devotees one day teased me, Swami, there are two things. The easiest thing in this world is to give a lecture. And the most difficult thing in this world is to know oneself. So your job is a very easy job, you lecture. But to me it is not a very easy job. It is a very difficult job. You must know what you are teaching. You must have conviction. You see, sometimes people do not understand that how much work is behind each lecture. I spend sometimes 2 days, 3 days. I study, I meditate, I think. Then I arrange my ideas. And the thing which inspires me, it will inspire you. That is the way it goes. It is like, there are two types of cooks. One type of cook, lazy cook, they buy TV dinner. From their work they come and buy from the grocery shop and then put into the oven, warm it up, eat, and start to watch television. Not much time is necessary to fix the dinner. And another person cooks, buys groceries, fresh food, fresh vegetables, and that food is delicious, sattvic food, hot food, that will give you more strength, more energy. So my preparing lecture is hard working, not really easy, lazy job. Anyhow, our ancient sages divided learning into 4 parts. Anvikshiki, Troyi, Bharta, and Danda. Anvikshiki means intellectual pursuit, reasoning, Tarkavidya, logic. What do? They take the truth and they analyze it intellectually. It is just like a farmer plowing the ground, and then when it is well plowed, then they put the seed. So these teachers, they plow their brain, intellect, and then they put the truth there so that it will grow. That is called Anvikshiki. And 3, Sham, Rik, Sham, Joju. These 3 Vedas and the teachings, that is Adhyatma Vidya. That Vidya, that knowledge connects us to the Atman, God, Brahman. And Bharta and Danda is just ordinary knowledge of the created objects, the knowledge we get from the universities. Physics, chemistry, mathematics, botany, biology, all these, agriculture, industry, business, all these knowledges we get from the various sources, they are the 3rd and 4th categories. See, Adhyatma Vidya, that is the Upanishad. That Krishna says in the Gita, Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam, among the Vidyas, knowledges, I am the Adhyatma Vidya, supreme knowledge. What is the message of the humanity? What is the message of the Upanishads to humanity? Aham nitya shuddha buddha mukta saitya savava paramananda ananta adhyayam brahma. The Upanishad is beating the drum near the ears of us and telling us our true nature, reminds us of our true nature. What is the true nature? Aham, I, nitya shuddha, eternal, Shuddha, pure, Buddha, awakened, Mukta, free, Saitya Sabhava, by nature, truth. Paramananda, supreme bliss, Ananta, infinite, Adhyayam, non-dual, Brahma. That is our true nature. You see, we forget. We forget our true nature. That is the reason we have all these sufferings. That is the reason Vedanta wants to dehypnotize ourselves. We are hypnotized by Maya. The Upanishads will try to dehypnotize ourselves. That is the reason we love to study the Upanishads. We want to learn from these Upanishads. Now we shall start verse 8. Saparjagat shukram akayam abranam asna viragya shuddham apaviddham kabir manishi paribhusayambu yathat paribhusayambu yathat tvarthan vadadat shashvatibhyo samaibhyaham. Let me read the translation first. It is He who pervades all, He who is bright and bodiless, without a scar or sinews, pure and evil unpierced, who is the seer, omniscient, transcendent, and uncreated. He has duly allotted to the eternal world creatures their respective duties. There are 20 verses in this issue Upanishad, very short, very small Upanishad. In the first verse, the Rishi told us the goal. Ishavai samidam sarvam, pervade everything with God consciousness. Do not greed for others' wealth. Enjoy through renunciation. And if you cannot do that, work 100 years, do your duties. Then the Upanishad taught us what is the Atman and the result of the experience of the Atman. You cannot hate anybody. You will be free from grief and delusion. Those are the results of the Atma-vidya. Now, the sage is telling us the science of the Atman. Very interesting. There are 10 adjectives have been used to indicate the Atman. 4 negative, 6 positive. 10 adjectives. We shall discuss each adjective one by one. Very interesting, this Upanishad. You see, we cannot. Brahman, Atman is abhang manasya gocharam, beyond mind, beyond speech. And we are trying to explain the thing which is beyond mind, beyond speech. So the Upanishad mentioned 2 ways you can indicate that ultimate truth. One is called Swarupa Lakshana, another is called Tatastha Lakshana. Swarupa Lakshana means direct. As the Upanishad says, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Brahman is the truth, existence. Jnanam, knowledge, consciousness. Anantam, infinite, bliss. That is direct approach to the Atman, Brahman. And indirect approach Yato va imani bhutani jayanti jena jatani jivanti jat prayanta visyam vishanti tad vijigashasva tad brahmeti. From where this whole creation evolves. The whole creation stays and whole creation dissolves. That is Atman. So it indicates that, you see the creation, so the creation came from that supreme reality. Sharup Lakshana, Tatastha Lakshana. We shall discuss these adjectives one by one. It will be very interesting to know. Most of the descriptions we find of the Upanishads about the Atman is negative. In Vedanta Upanishad, they use 22 negative words. Asthulam, Ananum, Arasam, Adirgam, Shuklam, Akrishnam, Akayam, Abramam, all the negative words. Neti, neti, Atma. Not this, not this, not this, not this. That means the Upanishad is trying to negate your concept. Human beings have concept. It negates all concepts. Then what is that? At that time Upanishad will keep quiet. Maunam. Upashanto ayam atma. Silence is Brahman. Silence is Brahman. How can we know it? It is a matter of experience. Sri Ramakrishna went to visit Keshav Chandra Sen, and Keshav says, "Sir, what is that samadhi? Nirvikalpa samadhi, where the individual consciousness and cosmic consciousness become one." Sri Ramakrishna says, "Oh, Keshav, samadhi, 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 boom, gone." Sri Ramakrishna merged into samadhi. And Keshav was overwhelmed. He demonstrated what samadhi is. Samadhi. Sometimes Sri Ramakrishna wanted to explain the samadhi, the experience to his disciples. He tried, then do you know what did he say? Ma mukh chepe dhurechen. Mother just pressed my mouth, I cannot speak. In Bhakti Sutra also we find, Narada mentioned, Mukha swadunavat. Mukh means dumb. If you give a sumptuous feast to a dumb person and ask, how did you enjoy my food? The dumb person cannot speak, but through the gesture and posture and facial expression, you can guess. You can guess that whether that person enjoyed your food or not. Same thing. So, in the scriptures, we know the signs of the illumined souls. Those are the indications that whether this person knows Brahman or not. Sab Padjagat. Padjagat means he pervades everything. Everywhere. In worldly plane, what we see pervades everything? Space. Akashata Lingat. In Brahma Sutra, there is a sutra called the sign of a Brahman is the Akasha. That is the example only I can give to you. All pervading space. Akash. Then Shukram. Shukram means luminous. Luminous. Bright. Bishuk. Adhumakam, smokeless fire. You see, we are trying to get some examples from the worldly standpoint. What is that? Shuklam. Then he says, Akayam, bodiless. We have all bodies. We have the concept of the body idea. Akayam means he is free from Guru's body. Body. Shuklam, light. There are mantras in the Upanishads, not tatra surjavati, not chandra tarakam, nema vidyuto bhanti kutam agni, tameva phantam anuvati sarvam, tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. There the sun shines not the moon, not the stars. What to speak of this mortal fire? When it shines, everything shines after it. So it is self-luminous, the Shukram. Then Abranam Ashnabiram, Branam is khatu, any wound, Only sometimes some rip, some chimple or some lip in the room. Well, nowadays people have a Botox, there's injection, then they pop the face. Abranam, it is free from wound. And Ashnabiram, no sinews, no nerves, nothing of the sort. Do you know what that means? It means he has no subtle body. No Guru's body, no subtle body. Then Shuddha, pure. Yata Shuddhe Shuddham Tadrigeva Bhavati. That is a beautiful mantra. Jato Dakam Shuddhe Shuddham. In Kathopanishad, Jama says, as a pure water mixes the water, so this individual consciousness makes the cosmic consciousness. That is Atman. Evam bhavati Gautama. Nuchiketa, that happens. So he says, Shuddham, pure, pure, pure. When we think of a pure, that means free from ignorance. Apapa Viddham. When Swami translated, evil unpierced. Pap means sin. Apapa Viddham means sinless. Swami Vivekananda read a paper on the 19th September 1893 at the Parliament of Religions on Hinduism. There he raised this question. The Hindus do not consider you as sinners. You see, the doctrine of original sin is in Christianity. It is deeply embedded, is in the Christian tradition. Swamiji says, you are the children of immortality. Sinners, it is a sin to call a man so. It is a standing libel on human nature. Swamiji really mentioned about this divinity, this purity, sinlessness of the Atman. Apapa, nowadays many Christian tradition tries, sin means not knowing Christ is. That means ignorance. Vedanta also says the same thing, ignorance is sin. Apapa Viddham. Beautiful word. In this world, mixed with Papa Punya, virtue and vice, which is free. Then next is Kobi Monishi. Kobi means poet. Poet. This world came from the imagination of God's creation. Beautiful. Sometimes we understand Kavi means the person who writes poetry. He is a poet. No. The person who creates something which is new, srashta. That is the reason in the Rabindranath, in Shah Jahan poem, he addressed Shah Jahan, Hey Samraj Kavi, O Emperor Poet. Do you know what that means? It means he created this Taj Mahal, unique. It is one of the wonders in this world. He Samraj Kavi. So Kavi means also the God is the Kavi, creator of this beautiful universe. The poets write beautiful poems. So God creates this whole world is his poetry. You know, these words are so poetic. Monishi. Monishi means who has full control over the mind. Moner Niyanta, he guides the minds. Monishi. Oh, Monisha. Monisha means, do you know what Monisha means? Vedojjala buddhi. Your intellect is saturated with the wisdom of the Vedas. That is called buddhi. Lighted. You know, some people's mind, intellect are so dull, covered with ignorance. But the Vedic Rishi is telling, Kabir Monishi. Beautiful. To be Puribu. Puribu means you are above everything. And Swambhu, you are self-created. That is the interpretation of one interpreter. Let me see what other interpreter says. We shall try to understand these verses from different angles. This interpreter says, Sarva upadi viburjito, Atma, no upadi. Upadi means attributes. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Brahman is existence absolute, knowledge absolute, bliss absolute. Please watch the word absolute. No relative. Absolute. But we see in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, other Upanishad, two types of Brahman. Shagun Brahman, Nirgun Brahman. You know what I was thinking, Shagun Brahman, Nirgun Brahman? Through my window, I was watching the trees behind me. Now, all those trees are Nirgun Brahman. No leaves, no fruits, no flowers, nothing. But when spring comes, in summer, in the back I see all my trees are covered with leaves and flowers. That's a Shagun Brahman. Same tree. Change the position. As Sri Ramakrishna says, that water changes position. Liquid, put it into freeze, solid, put it into the on the pan, on the stove, vapor. Same waters, changing positions. Murta Brahman, Amurta Brahman, Shagun, Nirgun, Shavishesh, Nirvishesh. These are the way we find Brahman. That means Brahma এবং Shakti. Absolute, relative. When Brahman is connected with Maya power, that is relative. That is Jeev Jagat. Shankara also admitted, though he was a non-dualist, he becomes, being non-dual, he becomes dual also, as I said already. So ekaki na reme, Vedanta Upanishad says, he was not happy to be alone. So ditya moichat, he wanted the second one. I want a companion. So vichat, he deliberated. Bahu sham prajayeti, I shall be many. The one become many. That is the great, great, great teachings of Vedanta, unity in diversity. This, everything sarvam khallu idam brahma, everything is Brahman. But we see Maya. We see men, women, good, bad, good, evil. We see variety, multiplicity, diversity, hopeless. Actually, everything is Brahman. That knowledge comes when we become illumined, when we become Jivan Mukta. That is the goal of Vedanta. These commentators say, sometimes we know Aristotelian logic, ye, ne, ye cannot be ne cannot be ye. But when we see the Shaguna Nirgun, this Brahman, ye, ne, as Swami Turiyananda experienced during his death, he was telling, Brahma Satya, Jagat Satya. Shankara says Brahma Satya Jagat Mitha. Brahman alone is real, this world is not real. That Shankara is emphasizing again and again, again and again. Jiva Brahma Inabha and Apara. All these individual beings are nothing but Brahman. But I shall tell you the whole truth of Vedanta in half a sentence, half a verse. Shlokardhena prabhakshyame jaduktam granthakochibhi. Brahma Satyam, Yoga Mitha, Jiva Brahma Vanapara, which has been enumerated by millions of books, that I shall tell you in half a verse. Brahman alone is real. This world is illusory, unreal. And the human beings are nothing but Brahman. That is the truth. In future, two verses are coming. One verse says, so ahamasmi, yasava so purusha, so ahamasmi. She is a supreme Purusha, I am that Purusha. Again, another verse says, Jati rupam kalyanatamang tati pashyami. I want to see that you are compassionate, you are auspicious, you are blissful, beautiful face. That is this whole creation. So, this method is good. When you close your eyes, think I am Brahman. When you open your eyes, say you are Brahman. Try to see God, Brahman in everything. That this Upanishad taught us in the first sentence. Sometimes we find we are going to study this, some contradictory things. But do you know what? Look what happens. Here is a small oil lamp, flickering. A gusty wind comes, boom! It extinguishes the lamp. We see it. That little flame cannot stand the wind. It goes up, it goes off. But look, your house caught fire. Then the gusty wind comes. It increases the fire. It does not extinguish the fire. And that fire blows away to my neighbors and neighbors and neighbors. House after house will be burned. Same wind. Extinguish the little oil lamp, same wind burst. My house, your house, whole area was burnt into ashes. Just see. A Shagun Nirgun, how it works. We see very, very The other commentator made a remark about Kobi. Kobi means Krantadurshi, who can see the past, present and future. Manusha Ishita, Shankara says, he sees everything, he knows everything. He has intuitive wisdom, which Manishi is Manishi is the thinker. All right, so we talked about verse 8, that Brahman, we got some concept through 10 adjectives. Now next 6 verses are very confusing, but there is a deep meaning. We shall go 2 steps. First 3 verses, 9. Andam tama pravishanti ji aviddam upasati tato bhuya ibote tama yayu vidyayagni rataha anna devahur vidyaya annadahur avidyaya iti shusramadhira nam yenas tadvicha chakshire vidyam cha jastadvedu bhayagyasa avidyaya mrityum titva vidyaya amritamashnute. First let me read the translation, then I shall tell you in brief, then I shall expand it. Into a blind darkness they enter, who are devoted to ignorance, rituals. But into a greater darkness they enter, who engage in knowledge of a deity alone. One thing they say is obtained from knowledge, another they say from ignorance. Thus we have heard from the wise who have taught us this. He who is aware that both knowledge and ignorance should be pursued together overcomes death through ignorance and obtains immortality through knowledge. Reading the verse, reading the translation, nothing goes inside, in the heart, in the mind. But we shall explain. The sage is criticizing those who worship ignorance and criticizing those who worship knowledge. But this is not supreme knowledge, it is like ordinary knowledge. We worship ignorance. Do you know what that means? That we are doing all the time. You get up from your bed, have wash, take breakfast. Those who are good, they perhaps meditate a little bit before they go to office. And till, if you are lucky, you can come back home by 5 or 6. And if you are not lucky enough, you come back 8 or 9 o'clock from work. What are you doing? You are worshipping ignorance. But Swami, what do you mean? I need money. I have a family, I have to take care of it. That is true. But this Vidya, this worshipping, that means materialistic life. That is the best word. Materialistic life. You have no time, during this period, you have no time to think about the Atman, God, Brahman. Nearly 12 hours you spend in the office, you did not spend a single minute to think about yourself. You are making money, you are bringing comfort to your family, that is fine. But what next? Day in, day out, 30 years, 40 years, you are pursuing this path of ignorance. That will take you to darkness. Then you die, again you come back. They will tell you that this worshipping this karma, this ritualistic word karma, this is karma. Shankara will tell you, at that time there is no computer, no other office work. Shankara will tell you, it is all rituals, Vedic karma. I want prosperity in this world. I want heavenly enjoyment. That Shankara will tell us. The karma kanja, the ritualistic part of the Vedas. And those who follow the path of knowledge, Upasana. We go to the temple. We offer some fruits, some sweets, and the priest will wave some light for us and will bless us. We are practicing religion through someone else. As Swamiji says, in his spiritual life, there should not be a second person between you and God. That's direct. That Swamiji said. We try to get the spirituality through the priests and through the Swamis. It will not work. The Swami can cook food for you, but you will have to eat by yourself. The Swami cannot eat food for you. It is a journey from alone to alone. That we are going to study, that how these things work. The Upanishadic sage, it is not his intention to criticize the ritualists and the followers of those who are worshipping Vidya. Do you know what those who are worshipping Vidya, what is their goal? Heaven. Heaven. I want heavenly enjoyment. And the other person says, I want worldly enjoyment. Both are seeking enjoyments. They are not seeking the Atman, which will bring them liberation. Try to understand these verses in this way. This person, look, let me read one passage from Swami Vivekananda. Then you will understand what I mean. If a man, it is God in everything in that lecture, Swamiji gave this lecture on Isha Upanishad. It is in Jnana Yoga. If a man plunges headlong into foolish luxuries of the world without knowing the truth, he has missed his footing. He cannot reach the goal. And if a man curses the world, goes into a forest, mortifies his flesh, and kills himself little by starvation, makes his heart a barren waste, kills out all feelings, and becomes harsh, stern, and dried up, that man also has missed the way. These are two extremes, the two mistakes at either end. Both have lost the way, both have missed the goal. A first one is worshipping the avidya. Make money, bring luxury, enjoy, miss the goal. Second one, following Vidya. I shall go to the Himalayas, stay in this cave, begging food. Suppose you get sick, you will mortify your flesh, thinking that I shall attain the supreme reality. It will not work. Look what the Upanishad says. You don't know what is the sage's mind? Have both. Both are necessary. This karma kanja, jnana kanja, these both are necessary. Then go to the higher plane, Atma Vidya, Adhyatma Vidya. That is in the mind of the sage. I read the translation, perhaps I did not get the meaning. But this is the intention. That's what Swamiji says. So work. says Vedanta, putting God in everything and knowing Him to be in everything, work incessantly, holding life as something deified, as God Himself. God is in everything, in every thought, in every feeling. Thus knowing, we must work. This is the only way, there is no other. We have seen how false desires are the cause of all the misery and evil we suffer. But when they are thus deified, purified through God, they bring no evil. They are thus deified, no evil. They bring no misery. Those who have not learned this secret will have to live in a demonical world until they discover it. Many do not know what an infinite mine of bliss is in them, around them, everywhere. They have not yet discovered it. What is demonical world? Vedanta says, ignorance. Swamiji beautifully mentioned the things, how people are moving in this world. Heaven. Another thing. Karmana Pitriloka. Vidyaya Devaloka. It is in the Upanishad. Karmana Pitriloka. The ritualist, where will you go after death? The abode of the manis, your ancestors. That is the lower world, below heaven. So from there, you will come back very quickly to this world. Please always remember, this world is a beautiful, it is a karma kshetra, kurukshetra. It is dharma kshetra. Only you can perform action and you can practice religion only in this world. And this human body, extremely, extremely, extremely precious. Apparently this human body is a cage of flesh and bone. A cage of flesh and bone. When the Atman departs from this body, it is a rotten corpse, and we love it. But do you know what? Upanishad says, Dehu devalayo prokto sajiva kevala shiva. Do not neglect the body. This body is the tabernacle, temple of God. God dwells in this body. This body is the boat which will help us to cross this turbulent ocean of Maya. This human body is extremely precious. Do not neglect, do not torture. With this human body, you can practice dharma. You can attain liberation. And you can do bad things also. Body. In the Upanishad says, Etad vakshanam gargi abhiditva asmat lokat priti sakripana. Jagvalka says to Gargi, without knowing the Atman, those who depart from this body, they are kripana, they are wretched, they are unfortunate. Ken Upanishad also says the same thing. Iha ched avedit atasatyamasti, na ched avedit mahoti vinasti. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitta dhira pratasma lokadamrita bhavanti. If you can know the Atman here in this very birth, in this life, blessed you are. And if you cannot, you will have to recycle. You will be recycled again and again, again and again, again and again. Bhartanjat, unending. Pratasma lokad amrita bhavanti. So try to attain this self-knowledge, Atman, in this very birth. That Upanishad wants us. He is pushing us. Don't think he is censuring. Through this way, do you know what the sage wants to say us? He is showing both sides in front of you. Look, this is the truth I am presenting in front of you. You choose. You have a brain. You know what is right, what is wrong. You know how to discriminate. You see, this work is the karma bhumi. If you go to heaven, there is no action there. only enjoyment. In Pitri Loka, no action there. If you want action, you need physical body. Subtle body cannot function without physical body. So this physical body is very, very important. I sometimes tell people, time is running out. As long as you have a strength, physically strong, mentally strong, achieve something. Each day is going away. We are always marching toward the grave. Achieve something. I always tell people. Vidya, avidya, both should be practiced. If you know these worldly things, and then you will be able to know your duties, and you will learn how to be unselfish. And these scriptures will enlighten your mind. They will tell you the result of action is impermanent. Na karmana na manasa, na karmana na prajaya dhani na tyagena ikamridatta manashu. Upanishad is hammering in our minds, neither through action, nor through wealth, nor through sacrifice, chejaya, nor through money, you can attain amritattva, immortality. Tyagenoike amritattva manashu, only through renunciation, one can attain immortality. Upanishad is reminding us again and again. Karma fall. If you do good karma, you will go to heaven. If you do bad karma, you will go to Pitri Loka or lower world. The intention of the Shruti, the Upanishad is Parthiva Vidya Abhadya, both knowledge we need. And then you will know that the worldly things are impermanent. Then your mind will turn toward Brahman, God. That is one commentator. Let me see the other commentator. Let me read the other three verses, then we shall finish this part. Next three verses. Andhang tama pravishanti je shambhuti mupasate tato bhuyaiva te tama yayu bhuti shambhutyagye rataha anna devahur avidyaya anna devahur shambhavad anna dahur abhashambhavad iti shustramadhiranam yenastad vichachakshire shambhutim cha vinasham cha yastad veda bhaigya saha vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutyam amritamashnute. Let me read the translation. Try to understand the cosmic standpoint and individual standpoint. Into a blind darkness they enter who worship only the unmanifested Prakriti. But into a greater darkness they enter who worship the manifested Hiranyagarbha. One thing they say is obtained from the worship of the manifested. Another they see from the worship of the unmanifested. Thus we have heard from the wise who taught us this. He who knows that both the unmanifested Prakriti and the unmanifested Hiranyagarbha should be worshipped together overcomes death by the worship of the Hiranyagarbha and obtains immortality through devotion to Prakriti. Sometimes these words are very confusing. Avidya, vidya. Munjaka Upanishad tells us there are two types of knowledge. Apara, para. Lower knowledge, higher knowledge. What is apara? Rig Veda, Samaveda, Jyojirveda, Atharva Veda, Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakaranam, Chanda, Jyotishyam, Niruktamiti. All this Vidya, all this book learning, all the university education, apara, lower. What is Paravidya? Ya tad aksharamadigamate, through which you can know the akshara, that Brahman. That is Paravidya. So we are in this world. From here we'll have to start our journey through apara. So we'll have to know both karma and knowledge. Both. You see, in this respect, Sri Ramakrishna Swamiji mentioned how yogas work. These four yogas. These are the four royal paths. What is the ultimate truth? This commentator made a remark about Buddha Prasthan. One day somebody asked Buddha, when you are in Nirvana, in Samadhi, do you exist or not? Buddha kept quiet. There is a fire, there is a storm, some villages are blown away. Some people, other people came and said, did you see it? Are you here? Buddha kept quiet. Yes, I was here. You see, at that time, it is ultimate truth, as I said, it cannot be expressed. Ostiti upalabdhibhyo tattva bhavena chovayo. Upanishad tells us, at that time you can feel exists. I am, I am, I am, I am, I exist, I exist. That experience comes. Sometimes during meditation you can feel God exists. Though I cannot see, it exists. That comes in the 8th plane of meditation according to Buddhism. Same thing, Asampragyata Samadhi according to Yoga Sutra. Same thing. Adhyatma is our goal. Odhi Doivata, Odhi Vaishya, we are in that plane. Asumbuti Vinash, anyhow. Let me see what this commentator says. You know what Swamiji said? We need science. We should not neglect the science. I sometimes say one American farmer is equivalent to 300 Indian farmers. In the Midwest, through tractor, one farmer can produce so much crops that 300 Indian farmers with their plows and 2 bullocks produce the same thing. So we must know the science, magical science. We must know it. We must not neglect the science. Aparavidya is extremely important. Paravidya also extremely important. But our goal is to transcend this apara and go to para. So they are showing Sambhutim, Asambhutim, Vidya, Avidya, they are sharing this is Aparavidya and Karma Bhumi, working Karmana Pitri Loka, all the results of each karma is different. Karma will bring the result. And Vidya Dara, we get the higher knowledge. Higher knowledge. Let me tell you what is inner meaning of these things. Through karma, through unselfish action, your mind will be pure. And when the mind will be pure, then you go to Vidya, means Upasana. That time your mind is pure, it will be one-pointed. And then comes the Atma Vidya, knowledge of the Atman. So we cannot go a master's degree without going to kindergarten school, regular school, high school, college, PhD. Then this is the way we go. So karma is the basic things. We'll have to do it. Then Upasana also. We'll have to do it, next stage. So karma is the school education, Upasana is the college education, and Brahma-Vidya is PhD. Try to think that way. Veda Aveda Bhavuti. When you know the Atman, the Vedas becomes Aveda. Swamiji mentioned, follow the 4 yogas. They will unite you with God. Krishna also says, Mam Anushmara Juddha Cha. Think of me and fight. Swami Brahmananda says, work is worship. In the beginning, work and worship, contemplative life and active life. Do both. Then work as worship, then work is worship. Swamiji says, be perfectly resigned, perfectly unconcerned. Then alone you can do any true work. Put out self, lose it, forget it. Just let God work. It is His business. We have nothing to do but stand aside and let God work. The more we go away, the more God comes in. Get rid of the little I and let only the great I live. Krishna also mentioned, Na karma na amanarambhat nishkarmam purushošnute. Without going through the action, you cannot attain that stage which is actionless. That is Atman. There is no action there. Contemplative and active life should go together. Faith without work is dead. This Swami made a beautiful quotation from Saint Augustine. 2 virtues are set before the soul of man, the one active, the other contemplative, the one whereby we journey, the other whereby we reach our journey's end, the one whereby we toil, that our heart may be cleansed for the vision of God, the other whereby we repose and see God. The one lies in the precepts for carrying on this temporal life, and the other in the doctrine of that life which is eternal. Hence, it is that the one toils and the other reposes. For the former is in the purgation of sins, the latter in the light of illumination, or the purgation effected. Anyhow, that is St. Augustine's quote. Anyhow, I try to tell you these 6 verses, karma, upasana, and then adhyatma vidya. It is a stage, one after another. Anyhow, I tried to explain these mysterious Upanishadic teachings. Thank you. Masatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mriturma amritam gamaya, abirabirma yedhi, rudrajatte dakshinam mukham, tenamam pahi nityam, om shanti, shanti, shanti. Lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, lead us from death to immortality, light us through and through, and guide us evermore with thy loving presence. Peace, peace, peace be to all.